Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, hello, my name is Alexis, and today we are discussing all the tea that was shared in Britney's new memoir. So I'm usually not one to read a book right when it comes out because I get really overwhelmed with everyone's opinions about new books. So I don't typically do that. But when Britney released, or whoever released her memoir, I felt like I needed to read it right away. I cannot remember a time in my life that I didn't know who Britney Spears was, which makes sense because I don't remember anything prior to year 2000, and that's right around the time she released Oops. And yeah, I've just always remembered her as being such a huge figure in this world. So I want to preface this video by saying that this is not in any way a review of the book. I mean, who am I to judge this woman's attempt to tell her side of the story that has been really rough, right? So I don't want this to come off as like a review or anything like that. I just want to talk about some of the things that she talked about in her book. So I like to describe this book as a 275-page tirade about the people who made life really hard for Britney, and they made it almost impossible. I truly think that if the average human went through the things that she went through, we probably wouldn't have survived it. And I hope that she's surviving it. I think she's figuring it out, right? But you know, who are we to really know? So let's first talk about the villains. I'm calling them the villains, the people who made life really hard for Britney. So we talk about her dad, who is probably the biggest villain of this, Justin, JT, her husband, Kevin. Her mom did not make the situation any better, which was surprising to me. I don't know why. I just felt like in the media and following her story over the last few years, I thought it came off as her mom was helping her. But I know her mom also released a book about her like midway through her journey, midway through her conservatorship, I think. And it portrayed Britney as crazy, which is what everyone has done over the last few years. So maybe that's why I thought her mom helped the situation, but her mom totally didn't help from her perspective. But then I was also really surprised by Jamie Lynn because I also thought that she didn't make the situation worse, but she definitely did. And it's like the things that her family did to just take over her legacy and own her name and take all her money is insane. And Britney is a very sensitive and emotional person, and it's like they just used that. They knew who she was. They knew that she put love first, and she wouldn't expect any of her family to do that. And they took advantage of her. So anyways, those are the villains of the story. And I just kind of want to go through and read some of the things that I've marked in here and talk about them. So let's do that. Okay, so at this point in the book, Britney has introduced her background a little bit. She's talked about her parents and her family and growing up. It's circa 2001. She's just gone on tour and everyone's approaching her for movie deals and shows and all of this stuff. And so this is the line that stuck out to me. But I look back now and I think when it came to Chicago, I should have done it. I had power back then. I wish I'd used it more thoughtfully, been more rebellious. Chicago would have been fun. It's all dance pieces, my favorite kind, prissy, girly follies, pussycat doll-like serve off your corset moves. I wish I'd taken that offer. So out of that, what stuck out to me was I had power back then. That kind of broke my heart. And I will say throughout this memoir, my stomach was in knots for the majority of it, because if you have followed her story over the last few years, well, the last 20 years, you've seen what we've been made to believe. And so reading this was like a punch in the gut for experiencing all the times where people made fun of her for shaving her head, or even when she came back into social media in 2019, 18-ish, and she was just doing a lot of strange things we said on Instagram. It's just her way of showing like, hey, I'm still around. Hey, I'm here. But that I had power back then really like made my stomach turn. It's like, oh my gosh, Britney. Like, I feel so bad. It's so sad. So in this memoir, Britney also describes in great detail her relationship with Justin Timberlake. And I didn't really understand the relationship. I knew that he wrote that song, Cry Me a River, about her, or that was supposed to be her in the video, but I didn't know all the things that had gone on before. Probably not a lot of us did. But in their relationship, they were getting pretty close. They had dated for a while. They moved in together. At one point, Britney becomes pregnant. Well, Justin forces her to have an abortion, but does not take her to the hospital or provide any real doctors around to help her through the abortion. It's just kind of like, we got to do this under the rug abortion because I don't want anyone to ever find out that you were pregnant with my baby. So after he does that, that's pretty traumatic on a person. There's a lot of stress in their relationship, and then he breaks up with Britney over text. Now this is straight from here, so I'm not making any of that up. So a little while later, Justin is releasing his new album. So I'm going to read you this part when Britney finds out that he's releasing his album. Soon after my return, Justin was preparing to release his solo album, Justified. On 2020, he played an unreleased song for Barbara Walters called Don't Go, Horrible Woman. That seemed to be about me. I thought our love was so strong, I guess I was dead wrong. But to look at it positively, hey girl, at least you gave me a song about another horrible woman. Less than a month later, he released the video for his song Cry Me a River, in which a woman looks like me cheats on him and wanders around sad in the rain. In the news media, I was described as a Harlow who broken the heart of America's golden boy. The truth, I was comatose in Louisiana and he was happily running around Hollywood. I mean, I can't even imagine going through that. So traumatic. You're forced, basically, you're manipulated, you're gaslit into having an abortion. You get no support from any doctors or any medical professionals. You just having an abortion hidden away from everyone. You don't tell anyone in your family. And then this guy breaks up with you over text and then releases these songs and makes you out to be a villain. I don't know. Just the amount of things that she's been through, and everyone was so hard on Britney. So it's just giving me new perspective just reading through all of this. And honestly, everyone should read this. It's like reading a teenager's diary. It really is, but it's her story and we should all hear from her side because we all heard from the media side. So there are obviously a lot of really dark moments in this memoir, but I just want to say, and I don't know if any of you have read this, if you noticed, but each time Britney was describing one of her darkest moments, she always ended it in a positive note, or she talked about something that she learned from it or that she was grateful from. And I just really appreciate that. And I can't imagine trying over and over and over again to see the light in all of these negative situations. And she talks about her friendship with Paris Hilton. And then also at the very end of the book, Britney talks about how one of the things that helped her get through this was when she was teaching dance classes to children, and she obviously loves her boys. It's very evident if you follow her on social media, and it's very evident in this book. So her talking about teaching the children, she just loves children, and it was just a positive light, and that's in the middle of her conservatorship. So that was a really dark time for her, and she's still pulling out all of the positives. So I really appreciate that. Okay, so enough of the positives, because even though they're great and I appreciate them, we have to talk about this conservatorship and how it even came about. So this is circa 2007, and this blew my mind reading this. I think I read this like 5 times, how she was forced into it. I keep saying forced, and I don't know if that's the right word, but it feels hostile. It feels forced. It feels like she had no other choice but to do these things. So anyways, I'm going to read this. She's dating a photographer at the time. I don't even think she mentions his name, but this is how she got put into the conservatorship. It seemed like my relationship with the photographer was getting more serious, And as that happened, I sensed that my family was trying to get closer to me in a way that made me uneasy. My mom called me one day and said, "Britney, we feel like something's going on. We hear the cops are after you. Let's go to the beach house." "The cops are after me," I said. "For what?" I hadn't done anything illegal. That I knew for sure. I had my moments. I had my wild spell. I'd been high on Adderall and acted crazy, but I didn't do anything criminal. In fact, as she knew, I'd been with girlfriends the prior 2 days. My mom and I had a sleepover with my cousin Allie and 2 other girlfriends. "Just come to the house," she said. "We want to talk to you." So I went to the house with them. The photographer met me there. My mother was acting suspicious. When the photographer got there, he said, "Something's up, right?" "Yeah," I said, "something's really off." All of a sudden, there were helicopters going all around the house. "Is that for me?" I asked my mom. "Is this a joke?" It wasn't a joke. Suddenly, there was a SWAT team of what seemed like 20 cops in my house. What the F did I do? I kept shouting. I didn't do anything. I know I had been acting wild, but there was nothing I'd done that justified their treating me like I was a bank robber. Nothing that justified upending my entire life. So after this happened, somewhere along the line, I don't know if maybe she blacked out because it's a very traumatic situation, but she was like passed out or something. Well, she was brought to a hospital, and they wanted to detox her. All very suspicious, right? Like, this doesn't even make sense. Wanted to detox her. And then when she woke up, that's when she was informed that a conservatorship was put into place. And here's my thing with the conservatorship. I mean, there must have been some really powerful people in order to get her under this conservatorship. Like, they had to convince a lot of people that she was clinically insane, because this is the type of thing that's put in place for someone who's senile or someone who doesn't have the mental capacity to take care of themselves. And at this time, Britney was like partying and like having fun like a 20-year-old. I mean, she was put in this conservatorship when she was 26, I believe. That's insane. 13 years and starting in your mid-20s and then getting out when you're 40. Like, that's crazy. So she was just being a normal, like, 20-year-old. And I don't know how it happened, but it did. And that's kind of the story of how it happened. But that really floored me when I read that. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, how does your family do that to you? All right, so that is all that I'm going to spill from this book. If you are craving more, then you should definitely go buy the book. I know I said that it sounds like we're reading from a teenager's diary, but it is what it is. She's telling her story, and we still gotta buy it, and we still gotta, you don't have to buy it. There's an audiobook. Check it out at the library. Just read the book and read her story. Thank you so much for watching this video, and let me know in the comments what you thought, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.